again for what took place that we've told you about, where you received the beautiful knowledge of light and dark, discernment, choice. It's all over the planet. So now I'm going to put you in the place of the Creator, just for a moment. The question of, like, what would you have done? Let's say that you have the mind of God. And let us say that you have seen this miracle. It's gone by design and you were watching it. What would you do next after the seeding had been complete? To give you a hint of where I'm going, let us say you take a small child and you say, I'm going to give you something amazing and beautiful. I'm going to put you in a library with the knowledge of everything. And you can then choose between the books. And then you go away and you say on the way out, oh, sorry, we never taught you to read. Thousands of books, and you can't touch them. You don't know what's in them. So would it make more sense to have a creation story accompanied then by teaching? And their scripture says nothing about that, nothing at all. So human beings are then given all of this and then left to fend for themselves. There is no teaching from the angel. Truly, Scripture will tell you that the masters then came, and there were many of them. And through history and cultures, there were many of them. But the source that did the seeding, the angelic energy that had the force behind the creation story, simply left. And you were on your own, and then the stories began that you hear. But my story is different. It's more logical that the seeding occurred and the teaching began. You cannot take that kind of a change, place it on humanity, and walk away. Instead, we told you that those who gave you the seeds that were those from what you call the seven sisters, they stayed and they began the teaching. Now the actual seeding began a long time ago. Very, very gradual, and much had to happen biologically before you got to a point where all were ready. And that was the 52,000 year point. There have been 2 cycles of the wobble of earth involved in human's civilization, where you were there in a succinct enough way to create that which you have done. Everything leading up to 52,000 years ago was preparation. And then came Lemuria. And then came other places on the planet where you were being taught. Not just Lemuria, there was more. Lemuria was special because it was isolated. And that means it could last far, far longer without any kind of visitation in the 30,000 years that the Lemurians were Pleiadians and had Pleiadian teachers. So here we are. The teaching started when the seeding was complete. You're not going to get that in Scripture. You're going to have a creation story, and then everybody's gone. That in itself, dear ones, does not make sense. It's not logical that God would put you in a place and give you this beautiful knowledge and then do nothing with it. No teaching, no instructions. It's almost like dark went to light, and then the angels disappeared. That's not even logical, dear ones. No, there was teaching. And the first things that were taught, the first things, with the teaching wheel with 5 spokes, was, who are you? That is what the Pleiadians wanted you to know, where you were from, what this was about, how it works. All the teaching was there. The teaching of the return to the middle, the teaching that you have God inside, and the seeds of those who were teaching you. If the angels came down in the Garden of Eden and had Adam and Eve and did what you heard that they did, does it really make sense? They didn't say to both of them, and now you have what we have. And now you have that which is light in you. And now you have a piece of the Creator in you that we've just put in you. Use it wisely. Here are some hints. There was none of that that was given you. None of it. The truth is, we stayed and taught. The creative source represented by the Pleiadians stayed and taught. And we taught a long time. Doesn't make sense to give you the library without teaching you to read. And that's what we did. And the reason I'm telling you this is because you've lost something. And you need it back, and you need it back quickly. One of the most beautiful aspects that you were taught. The Pleiadian mothers, you call them the star mothers, the teachers, would sit. Beautiful information would come out, and they would tell the children. They would say, look at your mother, meaning the one who is the teacher, and they would say, I want you to gaze upon us because someday you will be us. We want you to gaze upon us from the stars because this is the lineage of earth. We want you to gaze on us and see the beauty of the God that created you is in us and is in you. We want you to understand that you will always return to the center. No matter how many lives you think you have, no matter how long you live, that it goes both ways. You come and go from this planet, the center. You come and go because this is the system. You see, you always return to the creation, and then you go back, and then you come and you go. It's beautiful. It's a push-pull system, coming and going with the beauty of God inside. You are God. That was taught to the children. And they understood it. They understood it because they were looking at it. They saw it. The children became adults. The children's children learned the same thing. And off they went akashically to be born yet again in other places on the planet to carry this message and carry this message and carry this message. And over civilizations, dear ones, with free choice, human nature and the efficiency of dark and light began to be changed. And you know what happened. With free choice, darkness was chosen over light. So many of the civilizations destroyed themselves because they didn't understand any more than darkness. Those who understood and still had that full experience of God inside were put aside and beat up. There was too much power in the light, and the darkness knew it. And slowly, you have what is that which you grew up in, dear ones. Civilization after civilization created much the same light and dark ratio. The light was hidden, put aside. It's interesting, in every single civilization, something took place. Secret societies sprung up. And the secret societies had to hide the knowledge of God inside. But the darkness said, look, there's a secret society there. They must be doing evil things. There must be sorcery there. Don't go there. Don't believe it. The beginning of conspiracies. The beginning of darkness in every corner. The beginning of mistrust. Even those who had the knowledge of God inside in a secret society were called the devil. And the darkness always seemed to win because human beings would then believe the worst in everything. That defines dark energy. And the beauty of God inside was suppressed. It's almost like you had a piece of gold shining like the sun that was you. And over time, the dirt and the dust got on it, and the gold went away. And here you sit today with dusty gold. Now that's a metaphor for lack of self-worth. It's common. It's common not just with old souls. It's common for humans. For most of the humanity that has come and gone on this planet and reincarnated experienced this, just like you did. That to say that perhaps you were God or you had any powers or you knew how consciousness would work would be a death sentence. Even the shamans, the ones who could make the magic, the ones that would be turned to change the weather, even they were in trouble all the time. Because if something didn't go exactly right, then they were blamed and often terminated. Some of you were them. You are your own ancients, and in that old soul, some of you were them. Some of you were born spiritual with knowledge, and as soon as you were able to grow up and walk, you were actually following the same path yet again. Never ever believing your parents, never ever going to certain kinds of religious structural organizations. Others of you awakened later. But all of you have dusty gold. Lack of self-worth comes from lifetimes of not being believed, of having to cower in the dark. Some of you have awakened with the knowledge intuitively not to push the envelope of light. Just to behave yourself. Don't come out of the closet too quickly or at all, because you might face it again. But even the ones who've come out, even the ones who are teachers, even the ones who write the books, even the ones who sit in the chair and channel, have dusty gold. The truth was given to you, old soul, by those who seeded you. What you did with it, you get to look around and see. Morphed into rules, into negativity, into dysfunction, into many things. Even those who know the truth about the spoke of returning, about the original teaching, even if you know it, you've got dirty gold, dusty gold. In other words, in this room and listening to me, those humans who want to move forward so badly, those humans who say, yes, I'm seeing the light, still suffer from doubt, fear, and lack of self-worth. We know this. We know this. Now, I want you to cognize those words. Spirit, God, the creative source, anything you want to call it, knows of this issue and is ready to help you wipe away the dust. so it can shine like the light. And all you have to do is start claiming it. And if you want something to imagine, if you want a visualization, use the one I've just given you. Old soul, you shine like the sun, like pure gold polished so you can see your face in it. And I want you to consider for a moment what it would be like to simply take your hand, even without a cloth, and brush away the dirt and the gold, the dust, and see in the gold your face. See the reflection of your own face in that. And the metaphor for you as you do it will be brushing away doubt, brushing away that which is something that you can't really identify what's wrong inside when you don't believe in things. What's wrong inside when you don't want to come along with a program of beauty or benevolence or compassion. What's wrong inside? What is it that blocks you from believing some of the things that are presented? That's the dust on the gold. It's history telling you it's not real. It's history that's telling you it's dark. It's history that's giving you conspiracies against it. It's all that you've been through. And right now, in this energy, in the light, that gold is waiting for you to simply brush the dust away. And when you do it, even when you begin to do it, even if you consider it, things start to change. If you want to grasp some of the principles that are given here by Kryon, in this chair, in the many chairs for 28 years, if you're ready to go to the next level, it's time to brush away the dust. Because that will be the catalyst for everything you've asked for. Oh, depressed one, I know who's here. I know who's listening. It is so difficult for you to climb out of this thing. Unless you knew something, we know the issue. God is not in a vacuum on the other side of some black veil. God is not judging you for what you've done or what you haven't done. Instead, God is there next to you, waiting and saying, brush it away, blow it away. Here's a cloth if you need it, but do it. And then you'll see who you are. Your face in the gold, the reflection of you, the image of love. The Pleiadian teachers taught the children that they were created in the image of love. That is the Creator. They were created in the image and the beauty of compassion. That is the Creator. That teaching is still with you. It's in your Akash. All you have to do is believe it and start brushing away the dirt, the dust, until you can see your reflection in it and say, I knew it. It's true. I am created in the image of love. Dear ones, this is going to be the major catalyst in this new energy for learning all the things you wish to learn. You cannot proceed much further and be in full and complete doubt of who you are. It doesn't happen quickly. It happens as slow or as fast as your past will allow it. Do you understand that? What have you experienced? What have you been taught? What has been drummed into you? For some, not much. For others, a lot. And so some will have to work harder at it. Oh, depressed one, I'm talking about you. But you have to know you have help. We are here. Spirit is here. Others around you are here to lift you up out of this depression and come to a place, listen to me, where you will never have the dust again. You will not go into depression again. The cycle that you're experiencing and have experienced all your life is over. I'm talking to somebody here. I'm talking also to several who are listening. The cycle will stop when you take the dust away and you finally see yourself as worthy to be on the planet. Not just worthy, you've got stuff to do. How does it feel to know that that is still there? You don't have to reach anywhere for it. You don't have to go anywhere for it. You don't have to study for it. Just blow the dust away. And what you're going to see is the beauty that you are. It's so much easier to see love and love yourself when you're not looking into something you can't even see, a mirror that is so dark. How are you going to see yourself to even know who you are when you're looking at a mirror that has so much dirt on it? Brush it away. Start to see that mirror, that reflection, that gold of God in you. It never changed. Only history changed it. Only what you were told changed it. And it's time to grow up and make your own decisions about who you are and what your relationship is to the universe, to the Creator, to the God inside. Oh, beautiful one. Oh, magnificent human being. I know what that reflection looks like. Go do it. It's time. And so it is. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching this. I wanted to tell you this is a little time sensitive.
I invite you, beautiful soul family, to close your eyes and focus your awareness inward. Just feel into what is happening with your body right now in this moment. How are things feeling for you? If there's any areas of discomfort, perhaps there is a beautiful message that is connected with that area of discomfort. So let us send a beautiful wave of gratitude and appreciation for the biology of our body that is constantly communicating and constantly coming up with solutions, because we are so loved by our body. We are so loved by our subconscious that wants us to survive and exist and be here for a very long time. And in that energy of gratitude and appreciation, let us now celebrate the beautiful, loving message that we are about to hear from the magnetic master called Kryon.
Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. We present a series, this is part 2, about compassion. We presented one already, we have defined it as we see it. And we're calling it the facets or the faces of 4 kinds of compassion. Now, some of them, as we continue this series, may surprise you. And this is one. We've already covered the most common one, and that is compassion for others. And we've given you some of the elements to look at and some of the things that are not compassionate that you think might be. This one is different. Before we tell you what it is, again, we wish to define compassion as we see it. Oh, dear ones, if I could really show it to you and paint it as a picture to you. Somehow, if I could share the feeling of it with you, especially this one, it would make all the difference. But all I have is words. Perhaps you will tune in to this channel and we can meld together. The definition of compassion as we see it is a connection to spirit. Connection to the mind of God, if you wish, if you can even conceive such a thing. That starts. A connection to the creative source that would give you a meld of energy that would allow for many things, but specifically a few. Open-heartedness, number 1. Number 2, a mature benevolence. Not just benevolence, a mature benevolence. And 3, an understanding of all that is before you. We'll say it again. It is connecting with the mind of the creative source to allow for a meld of energy that creates open-heartedness, mature benevolence, and full understanding. That would be pure compassion as we see it. And it applies to whatever you're looking at. And right now, this one, and the one I want to give you now, it's not the hardest. The hardest, perhaps, is the one to come. But it's different. And it's unexpected. And here it is. Can you have compassion for the plan? Now, if you have been with us before, You have heard me give channelings on the plan. Dear ones, there is a plan for your soul. There is a plan for this planet. It's all with free choice that you have as you come and go, and you come and go, and you come and go. But in this time, right now, as I speak to you, that plan is being fulfilled. And it started in 2012. I have talked about this before. The crossover. The point at which the energy started to shift. I'll get there in a minute. But let me just etch this into you now, so you understand what I mean about compassion for the plan. Let's say you're attending a memorial or a funeral, if you wish, for someone you have loved and lost. And in that seat where you sit, listening to whoever is giving that eulogy or perhaps the story of their lives or whatever, you've been there. Suddenly you're overwhelmed with the compassion and you see that person and you see them coming back, young again and laughing with the life before them because they are coming back. You all come back. You all listening right now have had many lives. I am talking to old souls. That's the plan. When you're at that place where there's so much sorrow to so many, can you give compassion and benevolence and understanding and open-heartedness and a perception that is so different from any around you, seeing that loved one returning, rejuvenating, seeing them young again and happy and looking at you and saying, thank you for seeing the plan and not just the sorrow of one little life that you all live so short, come and go. Compassion for the plan. That's just one aspect of it. And you walk around and see the plan working. That plan, we have said before, is a beautiful, perfect plan of spirit, should you choose to go there, that would have eventually an enlightened earth. A luminosity, as you will hear sometimes, that you would have as you walk around as a light worker that sees far, far more of the plan than anyone else. And right now, as you sit there, I'm going to make a statement so that again you'll hear it and you'll hear it and you'll hear it. Evil is not winning on this planet, regardless of what you think. It doesn't work that way anymore. Since 2012, you realize, do you not? You were not even supposed to be here if you take a look at the prophecies of old, of those who said that by this time, past the year 2000, 2012, there would have been another war. There wasn't. Did you notice? We have said this before. The plan is starting to work. Can you have compassion when you see the things you've seen? Can you understand and have an open heart and an understanding to know that all the ugly things were always there? They're just coming out of the woodwork, as they say. So you can now see them. How do you like your Congress right now? And you would say, I don't like what I'm seeing. They just fight a lot. Did you know that by exposing this in the way that has been exposed in the last month or so, you are starting to make up your mind what you don't want to see in this Congress of yours in the United States? Do you understand this? It's going to have a comeuppance. There's going to be a point at which you're not going to elect people who simply fight with each other. Are you aware of this? This is luminosity. It's light that's going to show up in a way that never did before. Are you seeing the biases that have happened, whether it's with genders or with police or whatever, starting to come to a head, and you're saying, we don't want this anymore. We don't want it. And we're going to work for whatever it takes, a decade or so. This is the plan. Can you have compassion for those who are working through it? Perhaps those who are losing their lives because of it. Can you look at all of that and go, This plan. I'm so pleased that we're starting to see all of these lifetimes pay off. Finally, the plan is starting to come, so the light is starting to show. Don't be fooled by the appearance that everything is falling apart, because it's not. It always was falling apart. That's why you were not going to be here. That's why you were going to have another world war that you didn't, dear ones. Are you understanding this? Can you sit back and simply stop, look around? How many decades do you think that some in the clergy were abusing young boys? 50 years? 100 years? We've said this before. And how long has it simply been covered up? And now it's not. Don't you see? Suddenly there is responsibility. Suddenly there are things that you're seeing that were always there, and now they come to the surface. The plan is starting to work. All those things are starting to be seen. And you look around and you go, wow, there's this, and this is ugly, and this is horrible, and this is whatever. I'll tell you, that's what it looks like when the oil starts to come to the surface. And they start to separate instead of meld with the light and the dark. It's starting to separate itself, and you're starting to identify what you don't want on this planet. That's new, especially since 2012. Be aware, that's the plan. How compassionate can you be to those who are caught up in it and don't even realize it? Can you start to drop some of the worries and the fears and be compassionate for the plan? Because you're seeing a very slow turn of events. Light is starting to win. And as you start to see yourselves solve these issues, really solve them, so they don't simply come back and come back and come back, you'll start to see what I mean. You're creating a better earth. I'd love you to hear this channel many times, or to tell others perhaps that what they perceive may not be totally what they think. Things may not be falling apart. They may be revealing themselves, so that you, as a human race, can decide you don't like them, and you're going to solve them. Compassion for the plan is with a mature heart. It's with mature benevolence. We've said that word several times. The maturity comes from you, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, having been on this planet and starting to have a more mature consciousness of what you want and what you don't want. You know what's coming in the circle of 12, don't you? Because we're going to echo some of this when you sit in that chair. That'll come soon. Just a little bit. When we meditate together. And meditation, this meditation of the circle of 12 is where it starts to happen. And so it is. Hi everybody, thanks for watching this. I wanted to tell you this is a little time sensitive.
I invite you to take a deep breath and slowly, as you exhale, allow all the tension in your body to dissolve and melt away. And let us quiet the questioning logic and intellect of the mind. Let us gently talk to it. Say thank you for always being a part of me. And let's quietly move into that safe place that is always here for you. That safe place that reminds you that you are eternal, that you never had a beginning, and therefore you never can have an ending. You simply always exist. And in this beautiful place of infinite existence, let us acknowledge the wonderful messages that we can now receive from Kryon.
Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon of Magnetic Service. Each time we come to you in this way, we are so aware of all who are listening. For many years, we have presented the channelings. And for many years, those channelings have been recorded and placed in places where you get them. And you get them for free, and anyone can listen to them at any time. This was what I asked my partner to do many, many years ago. And all the time that we have done this, I have told you this, that in a multidimensional state, it doesn't matter whether you're watching or listening to that which has been recorded or not. Because we are aware of the listener. Awareness of the listener. If you are listening or watching this in a time that it was not broadcast, a year later, we see you there. We know you there. You're part of the family. We're always with you. You're never alone. The fact that you have given intent to listen to this in your now, it's our now as well. Your eyes are here, your ears are here, your consciousness is here. We have a compassion for this. This is the compassion of the creative source. We know you. So this is live, no matter when you listen to it, no matter when you see it. And that is what we always wanted to say to you, so you understand. It's the awareness we have of you as the listener that makes it so profound. This is the last of 4 channelings on that which is compassion. Now, we may do some other compassionate kinds of explanations in the future, but these 4 are the ones we wish to give you at this time for you, for what's going on the planet right now. This is the 4th time I will give you that which is the definition of compassion as we see it, not the one you find in the dictionary. And even this description is filled with metaphors. Listen. Compassion is the connection with God, with Spirit, with the creative source. A connection that allows you to meld with the energy of open-heartedness, with mature benevolence, with understanding of everything that is. Again, with perhaps even more explanation. A connection with that which is the creative source. That in itself, critical, is first. Connect to Spirit. And next, understand that that will allow you to have a complete and meld with things you don't normally meld with. Energy, open-heartedness. Perhaps some of you feel you're not necessarily that way. You would be if you connected. Open-heartedness, mature benevolence, not simply benevolence. Mature benevolence is that which comes from old souls, which have seen it all and are arriving now at this time and understand what the difference is between simple benevolence and been there, done that benevolence. Mature benevolence. And finally, understanding of what you're seeing. That's a big one. There are so many who don't understand what they see because they only see it in 4D. And those who are multidimensional have a second sight and a third sight, an understanding sight, and a peace that happens because of it. That's compassion. And the fourth compassion is this, something we've been teaching for years, and it's called compassionate action. Here is the premise. When you have compassion for any of the other three, number one, for others, number two, for the plan, number three, for yourself, what is the action that comes from that compassion? What do you do? Compassionate action is something that doesn't always happen. It's not automatic. There are many who simply have compassion. They feel certain things. They develop certain compassions, certain kinds of, I would say, perceptions around it, and that's it. And it stops there. And there's nothing wrong with that. But there's the rest of the story. If you have compassion for things, people, situations, for yourself, for the plan, what's next? What follows that we call compassionate action. What if there were really two parts to all compassions? And there is this, the understanding, the realization, you see it, and then you do something. Now that something that you do can be almost anything that is also compassionate. Let's give an example. You're compassionate to a person, and we rewind to the first lesson, the first facet, compassion to others. And we told you, it's not feeling sorry for them, and it's not pity. You have that mind that is melding with spirit, and you have compassion for all that is them and what they're going through. Let's say they have lost someone. Let's say you see them and they're in their sorrow and crying, and you feel it right here, and you start to have immense compassion for their situation, for their souls, for them. What's next? How powerful are you? Do you think that you have a connection to spirit? Do you think you're listened to? I'll tell you, there are millions of us who are listening to you all of the time. When you pray to God, what have you been told that is? In the very linear 4D way. You have no idea. Every single time you open your heart to speak to Spirit, we're there. So you see this person, and what do? What if you were put your hand on your heart, dear Spirit, give this person peace and strength. I see them being hugged by God. I see them understanding more about what has happened and not having it affect them for the rest of their life. I see this mother who has lost their child. And I see that mother, perhaps, dear Spirit, you will allow and send the energy of love so she is comforted. Nothing can eliminate that which has happened, but her reaction to it for the rest of her life can be mature benevolence, where she sees it and it doesn't control her or make her cry every time she thinks about it, but instead, dear Spirit, let her feel loved and understand. And so your reaction then and your compassionate action is instantly to say a prayer. To say, dear Spirit, give her love, send her love, so she can feel it. And maybe it goes further. Dear Spirit, let this person find light in places that person doesn't expect. You might see that there is an individual who hasn't lost anyone, but is always sorrowful. It happens. Always perhaps depressed. It happens. A person that can't really see light anywhere, and you have compassion for them because every time you're with them, you think, I wish so much that they could improve. I wish for them, and I wish you can do more than that. Compassionate action is you going into that which you do so well, a connection with spirit to help them balance. Dear Spirit, let them find that which I found. Put something in their path that they can't miss, like you did with me. Let them find it in their own time, with their own choices. But put things there so they can find peace where they don't have peace now. So they can understand that they don't have to worry all the time. Some of you have had these things put in your path. My partner has a name for it. It says, made you look. With free choice, you make the decision that says, what if there's more than I was told? What if all of these things, this strange idea of channeling, the strange ideas that Spirit has a magnificent plan, all these, what if this had substance? Substance past what you were ever told by any spiritual leader on the planet. What if it goes further than that? What if you are magnificent? Then you say, oh, and it brings you here. And you start studying the things that will lengthen your life and heal your body. And then you turn and you see someone who hasn't got a clue. And you say, oh, if they only knew. If they only knew. And you'd have compassion. And now you start the prayer. Or the visualization, if you visualize, even the feeling. Dear creative source, I know you love this soul. Put something in their path to make them look. With free choice, if they will or not, and if they don't look the first time, do it again and again, so maybe they can see light and find the comfort that they could have, like you did with me. Like you did with me. Compassionate action. What if there is an action every time you feel compassion? When you feel compassion for the plan, which we told you about before, part of the 4, what would be the compassionate action? How about this? You drop into your heart. You say, Dear Spirit, thank you for all you put us through to bring us to this point where we're starting to climb that ladder by ourselves of enlightenment, starting to clean up our planet, our societies, our culture very, very slowly, so that there will be no more war. So that we'll start to understand each other and how to work with each other better. Thank you for that. Could it be that compassionate action is thanks? Yes. Every single one of you can figure out what would be the action you would take that would be most compassionate after you have the compassion. Yes, this is advanced. And that's why we presented it to you last. I hope you've understood these 4 areas, and if you have not, you can always listen to them again. These channelings on the Healing Wednesdays, the channelings will also be available for all to hear, not sequestered only to the membership. But you're hearing them first, and you're hearing them now and in your real time. As I said, we know who's here. I'm Kryon, in love with humanity.
Let's spend some time getting into that timeless state of being in the now. And the easiest way to do that is to just quieten our mind for a moment. And I invite you to close your eyes and let any thoughts you have floating around in that beautiful brain of yours just dissolve away. We're just going to melt all of those thoughts, those things that we're thinking about, what we have to do in another hour, what we did last night, all of those thoughts. Let's just bundle them up and let them slowly dissolve away and fade into the background. We can pick them up in a minute or two, but for now, we just want to have everything dissolve away, emptying out all our cares, all our worries, tuning in to this now moment. There's nothing to do, there's nothing to even think about. There's simply just this sensation of being in the now, being fully present within this moment. And so when you feel that you have come a little closer to being in that now moment, just have that attitude of relaxation and that softening of all the parts of your body so that we can now receive a message from Kryon.
Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon of Magnetic Service. The channelings this month in these programs is about timing. So many questions, personally for you, the earth, especially of what is going on right now on the planet, the surprise of war. These things, dear ones, come about in cycles. But the one I want to talk about right now is that which is you. What is the cycle that we have given you over and over for 32 years to look forward to? We called it the precession of the equinoxes. The ancients actually identified it as a time of change. The Mayans called it a new creation cycle. Other indigenous had many other names, but they all said the same. Things would change. Opportunities for change would be there. They watched the stars. They saw the energy that it might create. They actually channeled the messages, and they were accurate. And it's so true. You are in the shift at the moment, and we have taught that for all of these years. More years than not, we told you it was coming, and now it's here. What is the timing of this in reference to you and your soul? Last week, we discussed something in the circle of 12, and we had you standing ready to come here, and we called it the wind of birth. We also then described you in that area as heroes in the making. But the question remains, did you actually plan on being here at this moment? Is there some kind of Akashic timing that would help you to be here? The answer is this. It's more profound than you think. Now let's go back. We have given you a lot of information about you as an old soul. And if you have been reflective in this and have studied any of those messages for yourself, you might recall that old souls are those who have been in this school of earth many, many times. Your Akashic record would read that you have had lots and lots of lifetimes, especially on a planet where through centuries the lifespan was very short. So you might imagine, if you've been here since the beginning, how many thousands of lives you've lived. But you don't have to have been here from the beginning to be an old soul. You just have to have an experience on the planet which is lengthy, perhaps even several hundred years to have been here over and over. And what happens each time is that this Akashic record of yours collects wisdom. It collects the been there kind of energy where you wake in the next lifetime, often in the same culture, and you have a more comfortable lifetime because of it, because you know a little more of what to expect. Many times you can see things coming. You can make adjustments because of it. Or you'll have that deja vu experience, been here, done that, I'm not going to do that before, and make adjustments. So what I am saying to you is that the timing often of things that happen to you on this planet, your planning, is wiser than those who are not old souls. Where are you going with this, Kryon? I'm telling you that the more lifetimes you've had on this planet, the more you are aware of the planet, of what is here, of how to work with it, of the potentials. You have what we call slogged through old energy for centuries. There's very little light on this planet, dear ones. There are light pockets, and we've talked about that, but suddenly it's different. This is the shift. It's the one that the ancients talked about. It's the one that we talk about, where the actual quantum field that is around you is being rewritten, rejuvenated, renewed, where the planet is moving into new areas, where the magnetic grid has shifted to allow for higher consciousness energy to be here. And old souls are the key. The more old souls who are on the planet at this time, the better chance you have of pulling yourselves up by the bootstraps and sending light to the earth. Now, take that premise for a moment. We need you, old soul. Let's say that you have started a lifetime, and maybe it was only 30 or 40 years ago. And that lifetime came to a quick end, and you only made it to perhaps 25, 26 years old, and then you passed. There would be those around you. They would say, how could that be? They were on a trip that was enlightened. We could tell that they were very wise. How could their lives be shortened so much when they had so much to do? Now get ready. What if that was in the plan? Your plan. So that you could have one more short lifetime and come back and grow up so you'd be an adult for the shift. And the reason is because we need you at a certain age. And that certain age will mean so that you could teach others better. So you be seen by society in a certain age group and do a better job with what you are here for. I just gave you something to really think about. Reasoning behind early death, where we need the old soul, or you see it as a need for you to terminate the current lifetime, come back fresh, young, filled with the energy that you need to save this planet and send it light that you would not have had you not passed. Did you get that? Timing. Here's the statement today about timing. You are here on purpose now. You planned it at the age you are, doing what you're doing. This has all been in what we would call the plan that you set here. And the plan isn't for your life. The plan was for your lives. On the other side of the veil, you have the mind of God. You can see the wisdom. You can even understand and weigh the grief of others when you passed early against what you might do when you return. The lights that you might carry, that you didn't carry or had a hard time carrying when you were here in the last lifetime that terminated early, you would pick up completely with the wisdom and make a far grander impact right now on this planet during this shift than you could otherwise. Let me tell you something to think about and ponder. Many of you have done that. Many of you. So that you would arrive at the right time, at the right place, in the right culture, to be here right now, to send compassion and light to this planet so that it will do things it never would have done in the old energy, and you're seeing some of them. The reactions, perhaps, to the dark energy that shows its head right now, shows itself right now? What's the world's reaction to what's going on right this moment? Have you ever seen anything like that before? And the answer is no. Do you think that the darker energies are surprised? And the answer is yes. But they will struggle and fight and push against the light for a very long time. Your light will win. And we've told you this. You've already seen a piece of this happen. We've also told you 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But here it is, so you can see what happens when the darkness starts to push against something it never expected. A time when the earth would not be dark. A time when light would start to occur and wisdom, compassion, and kindness would start to be part of a love agenda, I'll call it, that this planet is bound for, is awakening to. Timing? You are not here by accident. And if you think you are, I want you to give it a second thought. You're here by design, and you're not here to suffer. You're here to be healthy, and that is why I ask for this program to exist and continue existing, so that you will be able to hear so many human beings that are invested in you and your health, to helping you, to healing you. So many different methods, so many different ways, because there are so many of you who have different methods and different ways and different minds. You're not here by accident. You planned this. So, old soul, if you are in my hearing range right now, I'll tell you this. Go do what you do. But understand that you have an entourage behind you who wants to lift you up and take you to a place where your light will shine and show. Don't let things get to you to beat you up emotionally or spiritually because you see some darkness or don't understand something. You're here to thwart it, to change it, to convert it to light. It's not an easy job. That's why they call it the light worker. That's why you're here. But if I ask you to get going on it, in all love, understand you are dearly loved, each one of you, here on purpose for the salvation of the consciousness of this planet. And so it is. Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. The process of channeling is different for some. There's no right and wrong way. It's an individual way, unique to the human being. There are those who channel in this room. I know who's here. You do it in your own way. You do it through intuitive processes. You get what you get and you speak what you speak, and it's accurate. That's channeling. What you see is a direct connection here with my partner and myself, and it's been 26 years in the making. He is comfortable with it. He steps away into a place that we have discussed before where he watches and is comfortable. And what is happening now is we're using everything that the human being has, his culture, his language, his intellect, and his willingness to be clear, in order to talk to you in real time. Spirit does not communicate in a linear fashion. What you are hearing is his interpretation and translation of a multidimensional message that is coming in many times. He has learned to linearize it for your ears. But at the same time, there's something called the third language. It is multidimensional, and it's coming from this chair. It's talking to some of you right now, and you'll feel it way beyond the words that come. It is available for any who hear the words, even those who listen later. The third language is the intuition communication from Spirit as you listen to me. We are family. That's who we are. We're not teachers to you. We're family. And when you're not here, you are like us. It is so hard for you to believe that you are more than you are. The filter that you have that keeps you human and not something else stays in place as long as you are here. To the very last breath that you take before death, you're still wondering, is it real? That's free choice. It must be that way, dear human. And yet here you sit. And some of you are believing and cognizing the reality of this. Some of you are feeling that I'm here. I've said so many times, I am here because there are things for you to know. We look at you and we say, we're so congratulative on what you have been able to accomplish. Not just that, the willingness to listen, to know, to hear. There are some who are here and who tune into this because you're in trouble. For a moment, I want you to suspend that. Did you know you can? There's a part of you that knows better than to buy into that which would cause distress with you. No matter what it is in your life, you can suspend it for a moment and feel the love of God in your life, if only for a moment, to help tip the balance of normalcy so you can breathe easy just for a few moments and know that all is well and that we know you. I want to call this the mid-year report of 2015. It's not a long, enduring channel. It is one we want to give you so that you know where you are. We speak of what is happening in a practical way, in a common sense way, to humanity and to old souls. Now there is a difference. For the new energy carries with it attributes that all will feel on the planet in a slow fashion where they won't be alarmed. And then there are attributes that the old souls feel very powerfully, very quickly. And they know it. There's a change in the way you think. We talk about the mental attributes of consciousness. And we say you are starting to think differently. This is a difficult one because really, truly, it involves consciousness. If you take a look around the planet and see some of the things that are happening, there are different kinds of consciousness. People are starting to think different, to get together and act differently because there is a mental difference. You can't put your finger on it, and sociologists have not even seen it yet for what it is. There's a softening going on. There are those who will start to understand that they don't have to sit in a certain kind of box anymore, and it's okay to be more expansive, perhaps to think out of the box, maybe to include others more. You can see it in religion. You may actually see it in politics. These are human beings, regular human beings, who are being affected by an energy that is coming at you, and we told you it would be here. Now, in order for you to understand what we're talking about, we have to review. Some time ago, we talked to you about being in a new area of space. Your solar system, as it moves around the center of the galaxy, is entering a different kind of space that has a different energy in it. Ask an astrologer and an astronomer, for they both understand the ramifications of this. An astronomer will tell you it may actually affect the heliosphere of the sun. This then affects that which is your magnetic grid, which affects you. This has been the teaching of Kryon since the beginning. I am the magnetic master, and there's a reason for the name. Therefore, there may be different thinking. It's right on schedule, dear ones, and we said this before, and many of you are starting to see it and feel it. Is it possible that Earth and the solar system is moving into a different kind or area of space with an energy you haven't seen before that literally is on target, on track, timed properly, on purpose, in case you had passed that marker of 2012? You needed it. And you're here and you do, and it is. You're thinking differently. What is the most linear, unstoppable force that is the same that you can think of, that is the hardest thing to change? And you would say, well, from what we have seen, it has to be religion on the planet. The sources of it is old. The belief system has never changed. It is creating problem after problem because there is no willingness to change. And it's changing. You're going to see it, dear ones, in almost all of the boxes you call religion. But one of the biggest has a pope. We told you about it. We celebrated it. Before it happened, we told you you would have a new pope. We told you what he was going to do. At that point in time, you all thought the old one would die. What a paradigm change. It's called a wild card. A wild card is defined as something that happens that nobody expected, that is not in the paradigm that it should be. Imagine having 2 living popes. Even the Vatican is confused. Against all odds, one of them resigned. He didn't resign to die, dear ones. Did you notice? He's still around. And the new one took over. And against all odds, he was from South America. And against all odds, he has started talking differently than any pope has ever talked. Because he knows, in order to save his church, he's going to have them think differently. There has to be consciousness shift within his church to remain a church. It is actually more threatened than you know. There will be more like him who understand these kinds of things. It's the way of what we would call the mental attitude of humanity all over. You're reaching out for things you never reached out for before. The majority on the planet right now want peace on earth. It's the minority who don't care. We'll talk about that more in a moment. Where are you at this point in time? You're in year 2. We told you this before, dear ones, that this new energy was measured from 2014. 2013 didn't count. You were too busy with recalibrating yourself. And we were there for it. 2014 was year 1. This is year 2. How are you doing? Have you talked to a 2-year-old lately? How are you doing? You are beginning, and you're doing well. What are the biggest issues that you are getting through? Fear. That's the first one. And you're doing it well. Against all odds, you're seeing what is in front of you, and you're starting to realize and recognize this is why you're alive. Old soul, this is what you waited for. And even though it might be tough going, it's finally here. It's here. Now, how do you use it? How do you recognize it? What does it mean? Can I say something to all of you at this time in your planet's history? Relax. These things are going to start becoming clear as you go. part of the mental realignment, or what we will call the evolution of the consciousness of all those on earth, is that they're going to start wanting to have their spirituality make sense, instead of just following the rules of their parents. It's going to have to make sense. You're going to see some major spiritual groups be exposed. You're going to start seeing those who make a difference, making a difference in a different way. You're going to see some awakenings within the church, even all churches, when they start seeing that which is the basis of their attendance, which would be those in priesthoods, dwindle. Because it's not making sense. And that's when they will start changing things. Others will have a resurgence. And the difference is this: look for compassionate spiritual systems to increase. If it has compassion and the love is obviously there, it's going to increase. Don't make the mistake of linking it perhaps to a master or somebody from the past. I'm not talking about that. If there's compassion and there is love, it will increase. It's a new paradigm. Those who have no compassion and there is no love and it's obvious that it's something else will dwindle. It's simple. Watch for it. You're going to see it. That's a mental shift. Physically, how are you doing? Dear ones, the physical body of the human being is going to have a resurgence in awareness. Now, let me speak in terms that are better. Human beings are going to start caring more about what they eat, what goes into their bodies, and a realization that what you have called alternate medicine doesn't have to be alternate. It can simply be another one that works. So start watching this, because it's closer to mainstream than you think, dear ones. The things that are happening and are being discovered right now, we have discussed before. You're starting to move into a new paradigm of healing that's going to involve more kinds of energy than chemistry. And so look to this. You'll see not energy work as you call it in the New Age, but energy cures. That is cures and health remedies that involve that which is physics as much as that which is chemistry. Sometimes it will be together. It's coming. In some ways, it's already here. It's new. So physically, for you, both for the human race and for the light worker, you're going to start responding differently to these cures. Now there is more. For old souls, you're going to have more of an awareness of how to stay on this planet longer. Did you hear that? Now, this may seem unfair to many. Why is it that a group of people would have a better awareness than others? And I say to you again, it is no different from those in school who have been there for 9 years instead of 2. They know better. They know more. They're able to navigate within the system better because they've been there longer. That is why, dear one, you will start awakening to things that others will not. Years and years ago, as many as 15, I gave you a channel that said there would come a time when consciousness would determine how a person heals instead of the strength of their chemistry. And you're here. And that is what we want to tell you that is different. Today, my partner started to talk to you about some of the new things that he is seeing that are being embraced. in this process, so many of them have to do with consciousness, the physics of consciousness, even that which is energy on the planet, as opposed to new chemical inventions. It is the way of it. You're going to see more of it. But the old soul is going to become more aware of it and faster. Be alert for it, dear ones, for it's almost like something that sits in front of you that you will see and others will not. Let synchronicity bring you things. It'll keep you alive longer. The physical body of the human being is starting to evolve through DNA. And in this process, it is the old soul who will have the benefit first. You've been around longer. You've experienced more. Your Akashic record is stronger. And it just yells that this is what you've been waiting for. You're right on schedule. There's much to come in this. The third one is spirituality. And now we do not speak of the spirituality you have in this room or even those who are listening. We're speaking of the earth in general. We told you there'd come a day, dear ones, where this would happen, and it is. Do you realize what's going on? You are actually battling duality. For the first time in history, this planet has a war of dark and light, not of country against country. Do you see it? We told you it was coming. We said that there will be organization of darkness. The ones who are invested in keeping governments are not doing anything about it. This is because you're looking at a paradigm that has caught them all by surprise. They're used to fighting languages and countries and ideologies, not that which is dark. They're having a difficult time even agreeing that it's a problem because they think it'll go away, and it won't. It's going to get worse before it gets better. There will come a tipping point where they'll all understand it finally and join together, and it will be the consciousness of the planet against a few. They won't have a chance. But not right now. So I use what you're seeing on TV right now as proof that these words are accurate and true. Your governments have never seen anything like it. Therefore, they have a tendency to discount it. They have a tendency to say, it's going away, it's a fad, it's a flash in the pan. It isn't. It's new. It's the darkest thing you can imagine, and it's able to recruit from anywhere. Because darkness is anywhere you want to look. Dear ones, by free choice, you have those who think this way everywhere in any walk of light. Any walk of life. The light really doesn't matter. They could be in a place that is well lighted spiritually, and they still, you don't even know it, will think in the dark. This is a challenge of duality. They will be attracted to the dark. This group will have no trouble pulling out recruits from the strangest places, even the church. Darkness will attract itself because darkness is having trouble with the light around it. Again, light is active, darkness is not. Therefore, light will win if it's turned on. it's not being turned on. It will. Do not concern yourself overly with what you see as far as your future. I say it again. It's right on schedule. And could I say this to you without giving away anything? Those that are your seed parents that you call the Pleiadians had the exact same thing happen. Every planet of free choice that moves past that marker where it starts to graduate has the exact same problem. A battle for the old ways, a battle for the dark. Isn't it obvious when you look at it? The dark and the light. Can you see compassion and love, and you can see the absence of it? It's becoming more defined for you, isn't it? That is because you're evolving. There was a time when people could not see that, and now you see it very clearly. Finally, there is this. There is a wild card coming. All that we see, that is the potential of the planet in the overview, leads us to say this. And the wild card is not a bad one, any more than the last one you had, which was the fall of the Soviet Union. The wild card may actually be something that no one expects against a paradigm that nobody thought was there. It has to do with inventions. You're going to start getting some odd ones. They're not scheduled. But then again, none of them were that you received. Now let me back up. And I want you to follow me and connect the dots. Dear ones, the greatest inventions that humans have were all given to you when you needed them. You might say that inventions progress in a logical way. As you invent one technology, it leads to another and to another. You would be correct, mostly, but not with the wild cards. The last one you had that you were ready for was flight. It's not much more than 100 years old. You see that, do you not? And yet humans have been flying kites for thousands of years. They've been watching birds as long as birds existed. They have been looking to the skies and saying, I wish I could fly. And yet, something as simple as you know now about flight was so elusive. You got it all at once on the planet. You claim it as an American. An American inventor gave you flight. 2 bicycle makers figured it out. And the whole history never did. You only beat the French by 2 weeks. They were all working on it together. Dear ones, inventions are given to this planet when the consciousness is ready for them. The same was with radio. This was also given to you when you needed it. It was not a natural extension of another kind of invention. The same was with Tesla's alternating current. No one could ever think of that unless he was a master who had the knowledge before he came in. By the way, if you take a look at his life, he had much more to give you. And none of it stuck. When you see something like this, you have to know that inventions are something that you receive when you need it. There's another one coming. There's actually 3. I cannot tell you when, how, or where. I will tell you that you're right on schedule for another phase, another wild card to look forward to. A good one, dear ones, like the other ones have been. And it's time. When you see it, you'll know it. You'll say, against all odds, this is different. What a deal. Dear ones, we're happy to give you all of this information in this day. That's where you are. Other planets have been right where you are. There's no surprise. From our standpoint, as we look at you, there's no surprise in year 2. Growing up, identifying the new energies, getting rid of the bullies, growing up. Peace on earth, is guaranteed if you continue. Peace on earth will be necessary for some inventions. And that's so you will not weaponize them. This is coming. Peace on earth is not the end, it's the beginning. It was for the Pleiadians as well. Peace on earth comes with consciousness that has wisdom. It is part of that which is the new human. Now, in summary, where are you? You're discovering a compassionate earth. The old souls are awakening to a new energy. The dark is fighting you because it's afraid of you. Your news and your media is old energy, and you know it. There are new kinds of media and news coming that you can turn to that are balanced for programs you want to watch instead of those that you are given to watch. All of these things are before you. Personally, dear ones, physically and mentally, you're in year 2. Can I tell you this? Loved beyond measure, we want you to stay. We don't want you to be frustrated. But when you're recalibrating, for some of you listening to this, when you're recalibrating, all of those things don't mean anything. It is so tough for you. Hang in there. And know that there is part of you that knows all about what you're going through. That holds your hand and says, hang on. There is love. There is compassion. There is purpose. You'll get through it. Good news.